Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast. I am Paige, your host, and as always, I am super excited to have you here. This week, we are going to talk about the thief of all joy, comparison. And now, comparison is something that we all do. It doesn't matter who we are, what we believe in, or what we look like. It's like this preconditioned habit that we have all been accustomed to spinning in the back of our minds while we exist in this crazy world. It may show up when we're scrolling online, sitting next to our best friend at dinner, or attending a family gathering. It doesn't matter if we are alone or surrounded by people. No one is safe from the comparison monster. And truthfully, no one is ever fully free of it either. So, what do we have to learn? What do we have to begin to understand in this life so that we can stop allowing that comparison monster to control our mental energy? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. Because, in my opinion, what we have to do is just find a way to redirect it. We have to find a way to understand it. We have to find a way to separate ourselves from it so we stop taking everything that that noise says so freaking personally. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It doesn't matter how much healing you do around this part of your life, this part of your mental health, your emotional health, that comparison is so deeply ingrained in all of us. It really takes time, attention, and effort to unwire. I know this because I've allowed comparison to steal my joy in so many ways over the course of my life. And honestly, to unpack all of it, we would need countless hours. So we're not going to do that. But we are going to touch on the heavy hitters. And I would say those are within my body, my financial status, my relationships, and in my career. I know, right? Those are common categories for all of us because we look at ourselves in the mirror and wish we had a body that looked like someone else's. We see the lavish vacation someone else is posting online, and we feel bad that we weren't even able to take our kids anywhere on spring break. We witness a couple posting loving messages on their anniversary and then look at our partner and wonder why they don't do the same. And then we see someone going viral online with their business and their message, and we wonder why what we're creating hasn't hit big yet. These are all different ways and in all different circumstances that comparison begins to steal the joy from what we currently have. And it starts to filter its way into our minds and into our lives and into the present moment. And it tells us that who we are, what we currently have, and what we are creating isn't good enough because it doesn't look like someone else's. But you want to know a secret? That person that you are comparing yourself to, your life to, is probably out there thinking the same thing about everything that they have as that they compare it to someone else's. Because again, this is a habit that we all have dealt with for so long. This is a habit that has pushed us all into this hamster wheel of life to pursue more, to do more, to try to achieve more, more, more. Now, in the world that we live in, it's also come with this desire for instant gratification of it all. And that's a whole other subject that we can get into another day. But because this habit has festered for so long in all of our minds, and again, has become more prevalent in our lives because we literally spend hours of our day scrolling through social media, consuming the highlight reel of someone else's existence. We forget that all of this is based on perception. We forget that we all view this world through a different lens. And so it's up to us to stop trying to see everyone else's life as if it's on a pedestal in comparison to our own. Our life, our existence, our right here, right now should be the only thing that we're putting on the pedestal. That should be the thing that we are the most proud of. And if there are things that we want to be different, yeah, of course we can pursue that. Of course we can take the action needed to be able to pursue something different, but not in the name of it looking like someone else's, but maybe in the assurance that it's the path that we were meant to travel, to come into our highest version, to live our most empowered life. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparison. It's easy to allow our energy to be continually siphoned by comparison. So that again, we are continuously pursuing more in this life. And the more that we pursue in this life, the more we become a slave to the system. And where does that actually get us? Can it help us create success? Yeah, sure, a version of it. Can it help us create an image of living a good life? Maybe from a surface level point of view. Does it bring us this sense of validation from the external world and safety within everything material that surrounds us? Absolutely. But what about internally? What about the noise in our mind that tells us that no milestone will ever be enough, that no pinnacle of achievement will ever be fulfilling? What about how, when we attach our value to all of the things that we have poured into outside of us that could disappear in an instant? What would we do if we lost it all? Who would we be if we had nothing external to identify ourselves with? And that's the kicker. That's the kicker. That's when this comparison begins to steal our joy because it keeps us out of alignment with who we are in here instead of who we are perceived to be out there in the world. When you invest all that you have into the things that are outside of you, there is no guarantee that they will last. We are going to age. Our bodies are going to change. The world is going to evolve. So our careers may look different. The ways in which we have to, approach our financial situation is going to look different in every season, in every year of our life. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantee that you will ever truly find freedom to enjoy the life that you are living. You're just going to continue signing up to play the game. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation. That's why I feel like it's so prevalent, because it's prevalent in my life. I know that it's a lesson that I'm meant to learn right here and now, and one that I will continue to have to learn for years and years to come, I'm sure, in different ways. Because when we spend our time and our energy comparing ourselves to others, it just steals the joy out of what we are experiencing in this moment. It takes away our ability to be present in our lives because that energy is constantly leaking into this spiral of negativity. Even right here, right now, as I'm recording this podcast, you know, as I show up every single week and market and put myself out there, there are thousands, millions of other podcasts, other platforms out there on social media doing similar things to what I'm doing. But none of them have my voice. None of them have my message. None of them have my essence and my intention wrapped up into what they are saying. It doesn't discredit it or make it any less beautiful. There is room for all of us to shine. It's like one of the biggest misconceptions in this life. Just because somebody shines really brightly doesn't mean that there's not enough room for you to as well. There's room for all of us. This universe, this life, this consciousness, it's boundless, it's limitless. We are the ones who put the limits on it. And part of those limits begin when we start comparing ourselves to the person next to us. And when we do that, when we try to mimic what somebody else is doing because it's worked for them or it's been successful for them, it can create this like false notion of happiness that is based on what other people are doing, saying, and thinking. And it keeps us in this loop that feels as though we will never see the end. It prevents us from being able to align with what we came here to do, the vessel that we are meant to be in this life, or the changes that we're meant to make, and the impact that we are meant to leave on this life and those around us. We get in our own way when we compare ourselves to the person next to us, and it prevents us from actually figuring out what the hell we want our lives to be to begin with, because all of the noise gets in the way. And when we spend our lives comparing ourselves to others, we lose the ability to move through this world with authenticity, with this deep knowing of love that comes from the well within us. And oh gosh, I've spent so many years believing that I need to be something else to be loved and accepted. And even now at 33 years old, that noise still gets loud. It shows up in the most unexpected places, in the most unexpected ways, out of nowhere, screaming at me that I need to do more, be more, acquire more for this life to be great. Fortunately enough, for me at this point, I've done enough work and I've healed my wounds to the point to where I don't allow that noise to determine my worth any longer. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't still consume my energy. It doesn't mean that it doesn't still require work to undo those patterns and those habits. Just because I've healed so many of my wounds doesn't mean that they don't still require attention. It just means that when they make themselves known to me, I choose to redirect them rather than allowing them to run the narrative. I recently spent a extremely fun weekend at a bachelorette party in Nashville, Tennessee. And while I was there, I felt the noise in my mind begin to get loud. And I heard those thoughts of comparison begin to pipe up. And it really revolved in that moment, around many different things, but specifically my body, the way I dressed, whether or not I made any sense when I talked, if I was too negative, or if I was any fun. But it was all of these same things that had been there before. It was all the same noise that had been on repeat in my mind over and over and over again. But the difference was this time, number one, I didn't reach for alcohol to soothe it or turn it off and make it go away. And number two, the most important, I didn't let it steal my joy from being in the moment. I didn't let it keep me small. I acknowledged that it was there. I talked to my best friend about it and told her that it was there. I understood why it was happening, not because it's who I am, but because it's just a pattern that I had created a really long time ago to keep myself safe. You know, I was in this space. I had literally just started my cycle. So if you're a woman, you know exactly what that does to your brain. And I was a 33-year-old woman surrounded by beautiful girls in their 20s. Let me rephrase that. Beautiful women in their 20s. Just because I'm older than them does not discredit the fact that they are women, adult women, but also like in these big crowds, surrounded by even more women, even more people wearing a dress out of my comfort zone and staying up way past my bedtime. But again, even though I noticed those patterns coming up and they attempted to repeat themselves over and over and over, I didn't allow them to keep me from being all that I am. Do you know what I did instead? I reminded myself that I am safe in this body. I reminded myself that I am worthy. I reminded myself that comparison is only trying to steal my joy. And this whole mental wormhole that I fell down reminded me that I'm not the same woman that I was 10 years ago, that I'm not even the same woman that I was a year ago, that I've done this work to prove to myself, not to the world, that I do belong and that I am enough. Who I am and what I believe is only based on my perception of living. And that doesn't mean it will match the person next to me. And that's okay. That's what makes me me and them them. We don't have to change who we are based on how other people view us or how we perceive we are being perceived by the world. Because that's a trippy little mind fuck that all of us get caught up in. Sometimes it's not even about how they perceive us at all. It's how we are perceiving ourselves to be perceived by them, which is just noise. It's just noise. There's no truth in that. It's only noise. So we simply just have to honor everything that is in that moment. We all have things about our lives, our bodies, our experiences that we wish would be different. Again, it's like that preconditioned habit that we all have to unwire in our lifetime if we choose to. But it's crazy how much difference it can make in our lives when we do. I had this realization while I was on this trip. And like I said, I had a great time. We had so much fun. And these women that I was surrounded with and got to know were so beautiful and so unique and so just refreshing to be able to meet new people and hear their story and understand life through their perspective. But, it made me realize again, too, that there was a point in time that I believed that I was going to be the cool, quote unquote, cool older woman who could throw down with the kids and still party like she did in her 20s. I thought I'd be the one who would never give up the party and always have a drink in my hand and on the dance floor until I was in a wheelchair. But what I realized this last weekend is that I get to be a different version of that woman. On this bachelorette party, I got to be the lady in her 30s who danced her ass off without having a drink, talked about mental health, emotional health, astrology charts, holistic health, and even got to do some oracle card readings. I still got to have fun. I still got to be quote unquote cool under whatever definition you want that to be. But most importantly, I got to be me. And sometimes even that noise of comparison can make us feel like that's not enough. But when we sit with it, when we can get some perspective on it, when we can pull ourselves out of that wormhole, isn't that so beautiful? When we just get to be ourselves, when we get to honor that. It was like this refreshing assurance that the work that I have done has made a real difference in my life. And that difference in my life can create a ripple effect to the people I come into contact with, to the people around me. But it took this understanding that I don't have to be like them to be accepted, just like they don't have to be like me. As we grow and we change and we evolve, we're constantly going to come into seasons of our lives and environments that make us realize how different we are from those around us, or how different we have become from who we used to be. But now, when those moments arise, what we can do is celebrate it instead of using comparison as a weapon to demonize who either of us is. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that exciting? Isn't that what all of this work is for? Instead of us creating a life that is all about us mirroring each other's experience for the sake of staying in a box of what is deemed to be normal or successful, it's about us learning to embrace all that we are so that we can live out our own unique experience that's in alignment with our divine will, that's in alignment with our values and our truth, so that we can learn from each other, so that we can engage and have interesting conversations and continue to evolve so that we make this world a better place for everyone, not just for the people who look, believe, or think the way that we do. We don't have to play it safe and we don't have to keep playing the game. And it's in these micro moments that these big changes can become prevalent in our lives, that they can become integrated into our existence here and now. It takes work, like everything else. But I challenge you today, tomorrow, the next day, when you find yourself doom scrolling, comparing to someone that you see that has the nice car that you want, or the body, or the relationship, or whatever, redirect the narrative. Look around you in your present moment. List 5 things that you love about yourself or you love about your life, because you never know what's on the other side of that screen. You never know what's on the other side of what someone is presenting to you in this world. When you put your hand on your heart and you connect to your breath and to your body, you remind yourself how worthy you are of existing in this world at a time when we are all trying to learn a little bit more about what it means to love ourselves. Look at how far we have come with these conversations alone. All we have to do is to choose to stop playing small, to stop dimming our light because we think shining ours is going to take up too much room in the world, or just because somebody else is allowing theirs to be seen, that means there's no space for yours. That's not true. Be you, not them. Let your freak flag fly, because I promise you'll be one step closer to finding more joy in this life than you ever will if you're constantly trying to create a life through the lens of somebody else's success, or through the system that the world has created to keep us pursuing more and more in this material world. Swim in the deep waters. Allow yourself to go there. Heal. Get honest about how you are feeling. Express when that noise gets loud. Secrets hold power. And don't feed your pain that power by keeping it a secret. Again, you don't have to share it with the world on a podcast. Find your safe people, find a great therapist, find a journal, and just get it out of your body. And most importantly, stop believing that you are alone in the comparison of life. It is noise. It is not truth. All right. I know we kind of zoomed through this conversation today, but I just want you to remember that, as always, you are never alone. And if this conversation resonated with you, If you find yourself stuck in that trap of comparison and you don't know what to do about it, please reach out. I'd love it if you would leave a rate or review, to follow, subscribe. Come say hi over on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Turn the Page Podcast, because you are not in this on your own. This platform, this community that I'm building, it's so that people can connect, so that people can understand that we're all messy and that's okay. And this is an ever evolving journey. It's never linear, but we're never ever going to give up the work. We're going to learn to have fun, and we're going to learn to find joy, and we're going to learn to redirect comparison when it starts to get loud. I am sending you all of my love. Until next week, bye, friends.